Welcome back to the Navy Sports Magazine on the Navy Sports Network. Time to shine the light on diving right now with Jake Hedrick. And Jake, obviously being from the Hershey, Pennsylvania area, the first question I have to ask you is, you either love Hershey Park or you hate it. Where do you stand with it?
I love it. I grew up going to Hershey Park.
I was going to say, what do you're a diver. You got to be in great shape. How do you avoid eating about 16 pounds of chocolate through the years there with such close proximity to one of America's greatest places?
It's definitely been a part of my diet for my whole life, but, just got to do what you can. It hasn't affected me this far. Maybe it's helped. I don't know.
Hey, you never know. They say chocolate is good for you as long as you don't eat like 16 pounds of it like I probably have through the course of my life. Let me ask you, what makes a guy walk up to a 1 meter, a 3 meter, or a 10-meter diving platform and decide to jump off of a perfectly good platform into water below?
I don't know. Initially, it seemed like it would be pretty thrilling. When I started diving, I started just on the 1 meter and then eventually started doing 3 meter. And then I always kind of admired the platform divers, especially watching the Olympics. That was my favorite event to watch. I just thought that was like the top level. So I always wanted to be there, both physically the top level and like in the sport too. I thought that was the hardest event. So I wanted to be able to do that. So I did everything I could to find some platform practice and work that into my training.
When did you know that you could use diving to pursue a really good education like you're getting at Navy?
I started diving after 8th grade, so right in the beginning of high school, and then I started looking into colleges around freshman, sophomore year, and around that same time, diving picked up. I picked it up pretty quickly from my gymnastics background and realized that I could probably use it to help me get to college. And then when I realized I was interested in Navy, I reached out to the coach, and then the whole recruiting process followed from there and got lucky.
You mentioned gymnastics background. How much of that factors in when you choreograph what you want to do off of that platform right now?
It definitely helped. Having that background was huge in my transition, especially since I didn't start diving at a young age like a lot of people do. It helped me pick it up pretty quickly, and definitely with the training.
When you put together a dive, what are the most important things to make sure that the judge, what are they looking for out of you? And you obviously try to plan that within your dives, but what kind of let the audience and what's the most important thing? I mean, we hear all the time when we, like you mentioned, when we watch the Olympics or diving championships, having the least amount of splash helps at the end of the dive. In terms of the scoring, but what goes into a successful dive? What are you trying to make the judges see so they can give you the highest technical score?
Yeah, so it's extremely detailed, and it happens in a matter of a second. So judges are trying to look at the overall picture, but some of the things they focus on are how high you get off the board, how close you are to the board or far away from it, your position of your body in the air, and if that matches whatever dive you were attempting to do that was on your sheet. And then, of course, the one that everyone knows, the entry into the water, is probably about 70% of the judges' score, because that's the last thing they see, and that's the thing that catches the eye the most. And if you do it correctly, like if you get the correct vertical line and you have the right sound and all of that, the judges are pretty wowed. So the smallest splash possible definitely goes into it as well.
Well, I love talking to individual athletes, especially in sports like yours, because you can do something where, and I'm sure you've had it both ways, where you didn't feel maybe it was your best dive and you got a better score than you thought. And sometimes you think you do something that's really good and maybe you don't get the score that you think you deserve. How do you balance that from a competitor's standpoint? Because I know that's got to be one of the toughest things, I think, within your sport.
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty tough in some meets where you think you deserved higher scores than the judges threw out, because you get a little biased as you go through your training. You could be working on a dive that's pretty hard for you, and then you say you consistently mess it up, and then you finally do it a little bit better than you've been doing it in practice in the meet, and then you're like, oh yeah, I should get these really high scores, but then in reality, you see what's on the board, and it's kind of defeating sometimes, but you just got to take it day by day and think back to your training and the little things that you've accomplished throughout practice as well. And then ultimately the scores increase in the meets too. And then it varies from judge to judge. You never know what you're going to get sometimes, but yeah, that's how I look at it.
Yeah. As you prepare to face the elite, in the sport coming up this week, with what you all have had to deal with, and obviously it's not just you, it's your teammates and everybody else at the academy, but what's been the key to keeping some semblance of, mental focus on the task at hand that you'll face this week, where you're trying to do your best in front of the best in the country?
Especially this year, I didn't come into this year with any expectations, and I think that's helped my training as there have been all these uncertainties throughout the year, meets being canceled, postponed, changed up last minute. I think that's helped guide my training and get me to this point of the final big meet. But really, same thing going into the meet. No big expectations. I just got to this point, just want to have fun and see where that takes me. And hopefully I end up where I want to be. But yeah.
Who have been some of the people that have been most influential in helping you along the way achieve what you've been able to do? Because you've obviously been a terrific performer on the platform and obviously in the hall as well. Who've been those top influences?
I've had a few officer mentors down the line, my company officers over the years, also my teammates with the sport and my company mates. They've always had my back, my roommates especially. I've had a lot of really good people in my life that I've been able to ask advice as the different challenges I've gone through, and who have helped push me in the right directions to the different leadership opportunities I've had over the last few years. And I've been really grateful for those people.
What's it like to have such a quality facility to perform at? Because I know Lejeune Hall is the envy of a lot of, especially mid-major, college facilities. There's no question you all have one of the best in the country. What's it been like to have that kind of facility to perfect your craft at?
That's actually one of the things that really drew me to Navy diving in high school, was the facility and the opportunity to train in that elite environment, because throughout high school I had to travel 2 hours to practice from Pennsylvania to Maryland twice a week just to get on a 3-meter springboard. And we had late night practices from 7 to 9 p.m. in a freezing cold pool that was right next to the wrestling room, and yeah, no ventilation, all that stuff. So it was a lot in high school to make those sacrifices. And so coming to Navy and having these awesome facilities, 5-minute walk from my room, are pretty insane. I try to take advantage of that as much as possible.
I was going to say the chlorine headaches are probably worth it now that you've been able to do this at the NCAA level. Final question. What's your favorite part about Hershey Park?
Ooh, definitely the roller coasters. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I mean, it comes with the sport. So I've always loved the roller coasters. Me and my friends used to go ride them 10, 12 times in a row over the summer when we were little.
No doubt. It's a quality place, and certainly you were able to thrive in the neighborhood there of Hershey Park. That's one of the great advantages to being where you were. Jake, appreciate the time today, and best of luck this week, and go get them. Do your best.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.